Hey guys, this is Michael Levine with Vinylholics Anonymous, and I wanted to talk to you about buying vintage records as opposed to buying new records whenever possible. Particularly, one of the things that really bothers me is when I see people purchasing stuff, new pressings of things that are so easily available at your local store. Supporting your local store is such an important thing to do because those guys are the guys that, first of all, they're the ones that took all the risk in the vinyl revival, and they're not the ones benefiting. Amazon and Urban Outfitters and these guys they're the ones benefiting, while these private stores are sitting there with a ton of stock that they would love to move. The thing that really set me off on this topic the other day was Emmylou Harris's Luxury Liner. I think it's on Vinyl Me Please, is getting a repress. And it's like, by the time it's shipped and everything, it's like $50. I have a mint first pressing of that. I mean, like, it's a big deal. Mint first pressing of Emmylou Harris. No disparaging to Emmylou Harris. But it's like a $5 record. And people are willing to spend $50 on it. For God's sakes, guys, think about the environment. Think about buying something with a little bit of history. Those first pressings are awesome. The reason first pressings are so good is because that was really our only medium back then, and the plants did a great job with them. Now it's almost like this big cash cow kind of thing where unqualified people are just pumping out records, which is why so many of the records we're buying now are warped or they have problems with them. It's because they do not give a shit. But back then they cared. So I wanted to talk about some albums that you can buy dirt cheap in your local record store. Go pick these up. These are fabulous for any collection. Can't go wrong. Obviously, these are older because we're talking about old first pressings. So I'm trying to keep away from greatest hits, but I have like 3 or 4 greatest hits in here. The Cars greatest hits. Now, if you don't buy the greatest hits, what you really should be buying is the Cars. I think it's the one with the pop art girl with the breasts laying on top of a car. I think that's the album. It's essentially a greatest hits album. There's not a bad song on it. It might be the second Cars album that's really good. This is the only Cars album I have. It is greatest hits. There's not a bad second. Obviously, it's a greatest hits album. Greatest hits albums for records, guys, are one of those things that, you hate to buy a greatest hits because there's the snob factor. But at the same time, when you're buying a record, you got to make sure you like more than a couple of songs on the album. Now, I do recommend you buy that album and dig deeper, and you might find some amazing discoveries of songs you never thought you would have liked. But you can't go wrong with the greatest hits, and certainly the Cars greatest hits. It might be a bit pricier for this one, but you can certainly buy the Cars dirt cheap anywhere. I guarantee your local record store has 5 copies of it, just like they have 25 copies of Get the Knack by The Knack, which is an awesome album, and it's not in this pile. Every third record that you're flipping through at a used record store is The Knack. Aerosmith, Get Your Wings. This is my favorite Aerosmith album, and it's also one of the easiest ones to find because it kind of flies a little bit under the radar unless you're a big Aerosmith fan. Everybody talks about Rocks and maybe Toys in the Attic to an extent. For me, this is the best Aerosmith album, period. I believe it's their second or third album. I love this record. Same Old Song and Dance, so good. Lord of the Thighs, that's like the hottest song of all time. Woman of the World is my favorite Aerosmith song, bar none. It's got that space between the drums. If you never heard it, it's the greatest song. If you have heard it, it's like, yeah, that is Aerosmith's best song. Well, she's a woman of the world, and God, she knows it. Bam, 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 no, 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 turns ahead. Love that song. Side 2, SOS, Too Bad, can't give me none of that. And there's a line in that song that ever since I was back in the day when I was a kid, when I was like 13, I was in Aero Force. First I was in the KISS Army, then I was in Aero Force One. There was a line in SOS. Well, my daddy was hard and his face was pretty scarred from kicking ass and playing poker to win. Like, is there a better line ever written in any rock and roll song, period, ever? No. Buy this album. Can't go wrong with it. Dirt cheap. AWB by the Average White Band. Weird copy. I know you've seen this thing. This is like a $5 record. Buy it. You can get these things, as I said, dirt cheap, always great condition. Look how good condition this thing is. There's a dent in it. I think I paid $5. Look at these white guys, all in white. Beards, long hair, perms. Even if you've never heard of the Average White Band, you put this album on, I guarantee you're going to know 3 songs. Guarantee it. If I named the songs, you'd go like, I've never heard of that shit. Promise you, put this on. This is a party album. This is some serious good funk. Like it's not challenging funk like some George Clinton funk, it's just good funk. This has actually gone up quite a bit, but I picked this thing up for under $10 when it came out. Now Bill Withers has died, and so it's a little harder to find. Bill Withers' greatest hits. Every second of this album is incredible. Just the Two of Us, Ain't No Sunshine, Lovely Day, Lean on Me, Grandma's Hands, Who is He and What Is He to You, which I'd never heard the proper version, the Bill Withers version. I'd only heard the Angie Stone version in the 90s, which is incredible. This is such a good album. Even if you do have to pay $30 for this, buy it. Neil Young. I could have put a lot of different Neil Young albums on here, but this one I find is fairly available because it kind of flies a little bit under the radar. It's not my favorite Neil Young album. My favorite is probably On the Beach. Ambulance Blues is probably my all-time favorite Neil Young song. But this is a great album, and you can usually find it pretty cheap because it's not like After the Gold Rush or, Rust Never Sleeps, or some of the ones, or Harvest, obviously, or the early albums that really go quickly. This is just a great record. I mean, Comes a Time, Look Out for My Love, Lot of Love. Four Strong Winds. It's so good. And they're usually in great shape. The other thing is, by the way, guys, as an aside, go buy Neil Young Carnegie Hall. Go buy Young Shakespeare. Get one of the two of them at least. That way you can have basically what happened in Massey Hall or what happened Cellar Door for way cheaper. The new pressing of Cellar Door is garbage. The first pressing is the only one, and there's no way of telling which one is which. So buy Young Shakespeare or buy Carnegie Hall. They're incredible. Powerful. This one's a little harder to find right now because it's had a big resurgence, but this was everywhere, 2 years ago. Van Morrison, Moondance. This is my favorite Van Morrison album. Van Morrison snobs are going to say Astral Weeks. Yeah, it's fine. I like this album. To me, this is the best. Stoned Me, Moondance, Crazy Love, Into the Mystic. Into the Mystic is like the greatest song ever written, period, bar none, all songs. And I want that shit played at my funeral. It is so good. There's not a bad second on this album. You cannot go wrong with this record. Buy this record. Yeah, you might overpay a little bit today for it. But if you can buy it cheap, don't even hesitate. Just as long as it plays well, who cares if the cover's good? But the fact that all of these are in such great condition, and I swear to God, I did not pay more than $10 for any of these records, tells you how much of these were available at such a good price. Here's another one. I promise you'll find 3 copies of this at your local store. Everybody should have this in their collection. Roxy Music Avalon. It is amazing. The production is unbelievable. It's totally audiophile quality. Every song more than this, Avalon. I don't even know the names of these but you know all these songs. And if you don't know them, you're going to put this on and go, this is the greatest album. I love it. This one is like kind of part 2 of that one. This is, oh my God, I drew a blank on his name, Brian Ferry, Boys and Girls. And it's kind of like Avalon part 2. It's a little less good, but there's some really great stuff on it. It sounds very similar. And this, I guarantee there's 10 copies at your local store right now for $5. This is so easy to find, and it's a great album. This one, Bruce Springsteen, Nebraska. I am, as you can tell with this, I'm a big Neil Young fan. This is like a Neil Young kind of style album. It's Bruce, kind of sad, singing with a harmonica and an acoustic guitar. It's a gorgeous album. It little flies under the radar unless you're a Bruce fan. It's not like I love Born in the USA, and if you don't own Born in the USA, first of all, it's an amazing album, and you may not understand the really obvious irony in the song Born in the USA. It's like Neil Young's Keep on Rockin' in the Free World. They're not being serious. They're being sarcastic about how shitty things are. Anyways, this one is really chill, and it's just a gorgeous album and soulful mourning harmonica. He's a great harmonica player if it's Bruce. Love this album. You can usually find this anywhere. This one is one of my favorite records of all time. This totally turned me on to Willie Nelson, Stardust. it's a covers album. A lot of Willie's stuff is covers. I don't even know if Willie was doing a lot of his own songwriting, but God, I love his voice. And I love the way he handles some of these standards. Stardust, Georgia on My Mind, Blue Skies, All of Me, Why Not Take, Unchained Melody, On the Sunny Side of the Street, Moonlight in Vermont, Don't Get Around Much Anymore, Someone to Watch Over Me. You know every one of these songs. And Willie's spin on it is like, you can't go, it's like I like Willie's version of this more than I like Sinatra's version of things. I got a big Willie connection, and it all started because I have a big Willie. And it all started because of this album. It's so good. Everybody should own this. Men at Work, Business as Usual. The fact that this album, yes, it was big when it came out. We all know Who Can It Be Now or Down Under, and maybe you know Be Good Johnny. This album to me is every bit as important musically as The Police's Synchronicity. This album should have been bigger, not at the time, because at the time it was the biggest album there was, but this album should have had the legs that Synchronicity had. This guy should be as big as Sting. Yes, he didn't do Roxanne. There is not a bad second on this album. His voice is incredible. It's got that ska thing. The reason I compare it to Synchronicity is they came out around the same time and they have a little bit of the same feel, but this is actually better in my opinion. I can listen to this. I put this on and I go, oh, God damn, this is a good record. Synchronicity, sometimes I'm like, God damn, this is an annoying record. Plus Sting's an ass. Billy Joel, 52nd Street. I could have picked a bunch of Billy Joel albums to choose from. The Stranger is really great. I chose this one. It's really, really readily available. But any Billy Joel, any kind of late 70s, early 80s Billy Joel that you can get, just buy it. It's all really, really good. This one, Big Shot. I freaking love Big Shot. Honesty, My Life. What else is on here? I don't know. But yeah, Big Shot's so good. There's... which is the one that goes, what's that one? I don't think that's on this one. That's on something else, I think. Yeah, I'm looking at the lyrics. It's not on this one. But anyways, Billy Joel, it's so much good stuff, so available everywhere. Love it. Here's another greatest hits. Waylon Jennings, best of Waylon Jennings. When I was a kid, I used to make fun of this. This actually was, when I inherited my father's collection, this was in it. This was one of my mom's records. My dad was a jazz guy. He would have never had this, but this is my mother's. She's kind of like a little bit more folk and country and early rock and roll. By the way, the Kenny Rogers greatest hits as well. You should have that too, but it's not in my stack. But anyways, I remember as a kid making, my brother and sister and me making fun of MacArthur Park, like someone left my cake out in the rain. What a stupid song when I'm a little kid. Like what the shit does that even mean? It is such an amazing song. And the way Days of Sand and Shovel transitions into MacArthur Park, Delia's Gone, Walk On Out of My Mind, literally everything is on here. And then it finishes with Ruby, Don't Take Your Love to Town. Best song. It is so freaking good. Ruby is a huge bitch. Her guy's like paralyzed and she's like putting on her makeup and going to the bar to get some. Ruby, damn girl. Anyways, this is such a good album. I don't know if this is the normal cover because I've never seen this cover before, but there's other versions with this album. Totally buy it. It's so good. I am the biggest champion of this album of all time. Frankie Goes to Hollywood, Welcome to the Pleasure Dome. Buy this record. It is so underrated. Musically, it's incredible. Trevor Horn went back into the studio and re-recorded every instrument himself and made this album the amazing album that it is. You can find this everywhere. Nobody wants this. Only us 80s people love this record. This album is groundbreaking. It is incredible. There's not a bad minute. Yes, they only have like 4 or 5 original songs max, and then they get into covers. Their cover of War, their cover of Born to Run, which is like one of my all-time favorite songs. But then you get into the originals like Two Tribes. When Two Tribes Go to War. What a great song. Welcome to the Pleasure Dome is epic. Yes, we all know Relax. Yes, Zoolander. I love that song. Zoolander did it. It was great. But there's so much good stuff on here. The Andy Warhol cover. This is Andy Warhol's art on the cover, guys. So cool. Buy this record. I actually have the picture disc as well. Hall & Oates, another greatest hits. Hall & Oates, Rockin' Soul. Put this on, have a party, period. She's Gone, Rich Girl, Kisses on My List, You Make My Dreams, Private Eyes, I Can't Go For That. Maneater, and then plus 2 new songs. I don't even know what they are. I can't think of it. Rich Girl, shit, this is so good. Not a bad second on this album. Everybody loves Hall & Oates. You don't love Hall & Oates? We're not friends. This is a little controversial. Don Henley Must Die. Don Henley, Building the Perfect Beast. Great, a total classic 80s album. It is so good. The production is amazing, and I don't care who you are. If you don't like Boys of Summer, there's something wrong with you. That is an amazing song. I still get chills every time. It's like I saw a Deadhead sticker on a Cadillac. I wasn't doing his voice. I try to do a voice if I'm singing. I wasn't doing... He does that raspy thing. I can't do that raspy thing. But there's so many good songs. All she wants to do is dance. Sunset Grill. Every song in this is really good. Production is really good. You find these everywhere. They give these away. This is a gift with purchase. Buy it. Loved it. Last but not least, I bought this at a garage sale for $2. I think the guy was saying any 3 records for $5. So I grabbed this because I knew, Time in a Bottle was the one that I knew. I come home, it's got a coffee ring on it. I love that. I love that this album has seen some things. I love when I buy a new record and it maybe smells like cigarettes. I love when somebody has taken a pen and written their name on an album. Guys, you young guys don't know this, but back in the day, somebody'd have a party and he'd ask you to bring some records, and you'd bring your records, but your buddy would jack them, or somebody would jack them. Somebody would take his stack of records home and steal one of yours. So you write your name on them so people don't steal your records. I have a record of Prince 1999 where a guy has like a wide, fat Sharpie, and he's written his name massively on there. I'm like, yeah, that guy got one of his records jacked, and it is never going to happen again. He's like, yes, I'll bring my records to your party, but screw you guys. If you steal my record, you're going to look at my name every time you play it. I love that. I love that there's history. Yes, it degrades the value. As long as the vinyl's good, who cares? I don't like to buy a thrashed album, but I love that this has a coffee ring on it. I love that this has seen some things. I love that this has been in somebody's home. And that's the beauty of buying vintage vinyl. Guys, it has history. There's purpose. When we collect records, we're collecting it from the nostalgia. I do not understand buying new pressings of things that you can find. Why are you buying vinyl in the first place? It is an old format. It doesn't make sense for you to be buying new vinyl if you can get the old stuff. Buy the old stuff. Support your local record stores. Go flipping it is the most fun thing in the world to do. You flip. All of these albums are either garage sales or things that I bought flipping. And in the beginning part of your collection, it's a great way to start. Eventually, you start buying higher end stuff or pricier things or more rare things. But in the beginning, to create your collection, I got 900 records here. All of them, I'd come home with 15 records from the record store in the early part of my collecting. I miss that. That every time I'd flip, I'd find something I wanted because now I have it all. But I miss that of, buying 10 records and giving the guy $70-80. That is so cool. If you're new to collecting, that's what you need to be doing. Don't be buying on Amazon. Don't be buying those new pressings. Get out there, support your local store, and buy used records. Flipping is the greatest thing in the world. Have a great day, guys. And leave a comment if there's a record that you love that is not in here that you can pick up cheap. Get it. Or leave a comment. Let me know. And maybe even subscribe. Anyways, have a great day, guys. Much love to you. Keep those records spinning.